2-4.
Delta 2-2.
Maybe I'm uploading photos from this call.
You report.
20112-112. 313-107. Did you have traffic for me?
Negative, sir.
Yeah. 12-5. I'll be at the First Baptist Church for the door on Fresno and North Bravery.
420. I'm not seeing anything so far. Can we get a call back to the exact location where they're at now?
When I was there, but it's gone way off the deep end.
They put you in jail for that. I don't know if you read that. They're teaching them. Basically found out that Pelosi was the one that was in charge. How come they got accepted? The security of the Capitol. She knew all about it, and she admitted her guilt to her daughter, who was who were holding back $8 billion. We give Harvard $8 billion about that. We go for the information, so we've destroyed all of that information. If I haven't destroyed it, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, I guarantee you that. I'd be sitting someplace else. So I think it's something that we should really look at.
There are a large number of regulations on the books. These are regulations that are
Because
currently
auto pens are run by somebody. Whoever ran the auto pen was president of the United States. And I would be willing to bet that Biden didn't know.
So what this presidential memorandum
Probably didn't know anything about any of it.
directs the Pennsylvania Department to follow the law, to see regulations.
So you're gonna check that out?
Yes, sir. This is an annual proclamation that hopefully gets Americans to remember when crimes occur. This is the lasting art of deregulating effective EOs. This is zero-based regulatory budgeting.
Show me in I'll be here till 9.
I just want to add, so we're working very hard with
People aren't taking
Democrats,
close detail
governors,
what's on the books and clearing them out as times change or as regulations become dated or ineffective. What this executive order is going to require is each of your departments and agencies
Air Force
to
Base, open,
scrutinize on a
strong,
continuing
thriving,
rolling basis all of the regulations they actually have on the books and sunset those that either no longer serve a purpose or the departments and agencies can't identify a specific reason for keeping them active.
Talking about F-16s, they're talking about F-35s.
It is agreed to dispatch. You can put us on that call. We're already on. Hey, if you can hang up the call line.
You are returning from your route. Please make sure that you are taking your trash after you are doing the post trip. I repeat, please make sure you are taking all your trash from the driver area and from the back. If you can, please make sure that you take your trash
down the street. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing so much about Michigan. We've been working with
previously
couldn't get
with
Joe
other law
Biden to do
firms.
anything about
This is an executive order that takes to ensure that they can access government buildings, scrutinize given
we could never get anyone to do anything about this invasive species. It's going to destroy our great You know how much recreational fishing and so much of that is to our state. Because of your work, we're hopeful that we'll get action there and we'll get
I've never seen anything like it. Has this gotten into any of the other lakes yet? Because you would think it would be pretty easy.
Helping for that, there'd be Tom Victor Hall, 5726. Tom Victor Hall.
We're going to be close to a billion.
5726.
40 million.
get into Lake
$40
Michigan,
million.
it'll devastate the ecosystem, hurt the economy.
Yeah, copies on vehicle 7485 Charles Rise, 7485 Charles Rise,
Trevor, I was the 245, sure that one on the 601 cruise, 601 cruise, come here second officer. That's for anything every now and then people keep
$40 million, $125 million, bipartisan thing, some of them are about $100 million. It's a very expensive thing, actually, costs a lot. We have to save Lake Michigan.
And just confirm, I'll shoot tracking over to start calling guys, so the number's going to be, was always
Fishing, recreation, so it's in its capacity. But you're right, it's bipartisan, sir. We couldn't get by.
3017.
So, you want us to pick up on the trash?
The governor of Fairness called me, and she called me, and John James
Investigate
called
his
me.
activities to see what else
Their
will
office.
given his agreement.
I had no idea. Some with CNN. When I get it done, we all stand their time, and cut a ribbon. I had no idea. Like, in this office, got a lot of young people, I'm glad you brought it up. And they hate all seeing them for 2 minutes, and we get along pretty well.
Yesterday, well, the good part was yesterday was when you in and then the driver came and reported people and there was like a bottle of Big Red, it looked like candy wrappers, just actually told it, like the new one, how they have a little they had a bottle, like a black bottle of Big Red in there. Okay. 10 4 I appreciate it. Anybody?
I think China's going to want to do it.
Can you show myself and 24 hours service from the Civilian Museum? I don't see you. Thank you.
One of them at least. China and but John, we have a chance to find out whether or not it was Tara. One of those things. You know, we're making $2 billion. The genius is, right, they get it. Our country's very strong. We were left a very, very weakened country. And they go out and economic it's like it's all of the tariffs and all of the other countries just raiding us and ripping us off. And also, it was found out who he was a long time later. I mean, many of those people were criminals. Got a lot of publicity about that. It's like a promoter. But we're going to find out what it's not. It's allowed to. It's a very important case. But these guys, I think it's crazy. The whole group will find out. And you've done so recommending this. I read with 9 people. And hundreds of thousands 2 years ago with Biden, we had 9 beheaded down to 9, and they were all let in for medical reasons. They were in good shape. We're letting in for medical reasons, not even for anything else. But that's a big thing. I think it's one of the greatest problems. I've never seen anything like it.
Please sit down. Welcome, everyone. I must apologize for dragging you all here at such an uncommon hour, but from what I've been told, this matter needs to be dealt with urgently. So urgently, in fact, probably should have been addressed weeks ago. That is spilt milk under the bridge. So, why doesn't somebody tell me what they think is going on?
Mr. Told, as I mentioned earlier, If you compare the figure at the top of page 13.
Jared, it's a little early for all that. Just speak to me in plain
They
English.
didn't put them in. No, they threatened them, but they picked them
Okay.
up.
But I'd like to speak to the guy who put this together. Mr. Sullivan, is it? Is he speaking?
Sir?
I'd like to speak with the analyst who seems to stumble across this mess.
Certainly. That would be Peter Sullivan, right here.
Oh, Mr. Sullivan, you're here. Good morning. Maybe you could tell me what you think is going on. And please, speak as you might to a young child or a golden retriever. It wasn't brains that got me here, I can assure you of that.
Negotiation until it is. And then
Sir, as you may or may not know, I work here for Mr. Rogers as an associate in the Risk Assessment and Management Office at MBS.
Please, just relax, stand up, tell us in a clear voice
Look, we've been ripped off
what
by
is the nature of the problem.
essentially everybody for 35 years. This is
Okay,
the basic thing.
well, as you probably know, over the last 36 to 40 months, the firm has begun packaging new MBS products that combine several different tranches of rating classification in one tradable security. This has been enormously profitable, as I imagine you noticed.
I have.
354 come from Alameda and Texan.
Well, the firm is currently doing a considerable amount of this business every day. Now, the problem, which is, I guess, why we are here tonight, is that it takes us, the firm, about a month to layer these products correctly, thereby posing a challenge from a risk management standpoint.
And Mr. Sullivan, that challenge is?
Well, we have to hold these assets on our books longer than we might ideally like to.
Yes.
But the key factor here is these are essentially just mortgages, so that has allowed us to push the leverage considerably beyond what you might be willing or allowed to do in any other circumstance, thereby pushing the risk profile without raising any red flags.
Now, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Sit down. What I'm guessing your report here says, and give me some rope. What I'm guessing it says is that, considering the, shall we say, bumpy road we've been on the last week or so, that the figures your brilliant co-workers on the line ahead of you have come up with don't make much sense anymore, considering what's taking place today.
Actually, not what's taking place today, but what's already taken place over the last 2 weeks.
So you are saying this has already happened?
Sort of.
And Mr. Sullivan, what does your model say that that means for us here?
Well, that's where it becomes a projection. But,
You're speaking with me, Mr. Sullivan.
well, sir, if those assets decrease by just 25% and remain on our books, that loss would be greater than the current market capitalization of this entire company.
So, what you're telling me is that music is about to stop, and we're going to be left holding the biggest bag of odorous excrement ever assembled in the history of capitalism.
Sir, I'm not sure that I would put it that way, but let me clarify, using your analogy, what this model shows is the music, so to speak, just slow. If the music were to stop, as you put it, then this model wouldn't be even close to that scenario. It would be considerably worse.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Sullivan. Do you care to know why I'm in this chair with you, or I mean, why I earn the big bucks? I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm here to guess what the music might do a week, a month.
Can you talk about how investors have a positive impact on families who felt like the previous economy left them behind, and why your executive orders on coal yesterday is so important given the amount of manufacturing that you're doing?
Thank you.
Your mail subject
which is correct. We have, I would say, more than $7 trillion now of investment coming in. Apple is coming in for $500 billion alone. We have other companies coming in with massive numbers. We have car companies that are coming in. No, we've never seen anything like it. Maybe in the 1940s or 50s or something, but we've never seen anything like it. They had 3 plants canceled in Mexico. Not that we want to hurt Mexico, but we're for us. That's what my job is.
Call back from the
take care of other countries, but I want to help other countries as much as I can, but we have to take care of America first, and it's about America first. So we have many companies coming in that would have never come in if we didn't win the election and then put the tariffs on. And they're coming in because when they build in the United States, there are no tariffs.
No, it's 6-5. Okay, so we made a stop. We got another vehicle. So yeah.
4170, that's 10-4. You have that small trailer with the wheelchair wheels on it coming to you.
That's one.
Traffic. Unit 3.
Unit 3.
And that's a 2 on different. They should be running as well. I don't. They should be arriving up there now. She said they're coming down Greenwood. Should be there within like a minute or two.
Unit 2.
Two.
104, show me out.
No.
5652.
Ten 9.
No.
Okay.
The traffic is Firestone. Has it died down already?
143. Zero subject left the property. Criminal trespass warning issued. I'm saying.
Negative. 45.
Alright, 10-4. I don't have a time change until 2100. 2100.
10-4.
Okay, 345, correction 335 to the Garden Hallway. I'll show off for the assist that the DCE. There's some departments in contact with Candace.
5.
Maybe, I think we're going to be averaging $2.25 very soon. So I just want to let you know, though, because I keep hearing about prices and inflation. Maybe I think we're going to be averaging only the fake news says they're going up. The only thing that's even, I just want to let you know that I keep hearing about we had a price chairman that inflation understood what it is. I think we're averaging. We should bring this down. Yeah, the only thing that's even, I just want to let you know that our interest rates about we had a price chairman that inflation understood what it is. I think we're averaging. We should bring this down. Yeah, the only thing that's even, I just want to let you know that our interest rates about we had a price chairman that inflation understood what it is. I think we're averaging. We should bring this down. Yeah, the only thing that's even, I just want to let you know that our interest rates about we had a price chairman. But you're going to know understood what it is. I think we're averaging. We should bring this down. Yeah, the only thing that's even, I just want to let
Dirty traffic. Location.
Dirty traffic.
crushed and crashed, and all those beautiful steeples, the most beautiful in the world, actually considered the most beautiful in the world. Most of them are now smashed to smithereens, as they say, and lying on the ground in a million pieces. Those towns are crushed, the whole place. It's so horrible. And millions of people are dead, far more than you think. That's one thing you're going to get out of this war. You're going to find out that your estimates are far lower than, it's far worse than people think. Nobody's playing anybody. We are going to see if we can get it done. I think we have a really good chance of getting it done, and it's coming to a head right now.
Ukraine militarily.
Say it.
If you do decide to move on and take it past, Mr. President, would you then continue to support?
Well, I'm not going to say that because I think we're going to get it done.
There's a group of Venezuelan men down in Texas who have been alerted that they are soon going to be deported under the Alien Enemies Act. Have you authorized that operation?
I don't know about the group you're talking about, but if they're bad people, I would certainly authorize it, yeah. You know, I won an election in a landslide. We won all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts to 505 districts, 2,750 to 50. That's why the map, when you look at it, is all red. And one of the biggest reason, I think the biggest single reason, actually, I'd like to say it's because of this, because I think they're going to come up with things that are incredible. But probably the biggest reason was because of the border and because of illegal immigration. And the people of this country want those people out. Because what Biden did, and I don't know if he did it, I'm not even sure he knows what the hell he was doing, but what his people did, representing him, was allow millions and millions of people from jails, from prisons all over the world, people from mental institutions and insane asylums, gang members, drug dealers, pouring into our place. And you know what? Our people voted for me to get them out. They want them out. They want them out. And we've done a hell of a job. And by the way, Ecuador and various places, but El Salvador, we've been helped by a lot of other states where they're helping us, actually, because you couldn't look. What this man was thinking when they allowed open borders and people to come in, if you look at Venezuela, their crime is down by 72%. You know why? They took all their criminals off the street. They took all their prisoners from jail. They took murders. 11,088 murderers were released into our country. Bad things are going to happen. Bad things. And we're getting them out. And that's why I was elected. A judge wasn't elected to do that. I was elected to do that. And we're doing it in record fashion. We have the safest border, the most secure border we've ever had. See the Declaration of Independence? You should all read that before you leave. That's the real deal. You should all read it before you leave. Yeah. Sir, go ahead, please.
What appears to be margaritas, Diego Garcia down in El Salvador. Do you encourage other Democrats to fly down to El Salvador to meet with this alien who's an accused white?
I like this guy. See, now this is the kind of a reporter we like. There aren't enough of them. We got to get some more of them. But no, I appreciate that question. No, look, he's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad. If you would go into the room, you might, if you would, Caroline, maybe go into the room and see if you can find that little slip. I wrote some things down. I don't know why you'd want to keep them, but we got a little biography of him. Not a very innocent guy. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in the spirit of Easter Sunday.
While we're on the subject, right? So you're talking about Abrego Garcia. Is that the one? Yeah. Is an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist. This comes out of the State Department and very legitimate sources. I mean, I assume I'm just giving you what they handed to me, but this was supposed to be certified stuff. In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse than Tren de Aragua. It may be worse. They kill people with knives because it's more painful. Very famous for the knifing and killing of 2 young 16-year-old girls walking to school one day. and they sliced him up into little pieces and killed him. That's MS-13. And 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13. When Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money pouring out, an MS-13 gang symbol that he was driving with 2 other known violent MS-13 gang members, 2 of the most violent members that we know of in the MS-13 gang of thugs. In 2022, Garcia was stopped by the Tennessee Highway Patrol and was found to be transporting 7 people from Texas to Maryland, and he had no driver's license. He was driving violently. In 2020 and 2021, Garcia's wife filed for a protective order from him and said he was violent and abusive and really scary, including allegations that he punched and scratched her on the eye, left her bleeding after throwing her laptop on the floor at her, ripped her shirt, and ripped off her shorts. He then grabbed her arm, leaving very severe marks. Garcia's wife also wrote in court, "At this point, I am afraid to be close to him. I just don't want to be close. I have multiple photos and videos, how violent he can be, and all of the bruises that he's left on me." She just couldn't get anywhere near him. This is the man that the Democrats are wanting us to fly back from El Salvador to be a happily ensconced member of the USA family. Isn't it a shame? And by the way, I've been hit pretty hard by fake shows, fake news, MSDNC in particular, where they talk about how evil I am, that this man would be thrown out of our country. This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person. And they want this man to be brought back into our country where he can be free and to stay as a happily Maryland, they call him the Maryland man. He's a Maryland father. No, this is a violent person. Who they don't talk about is that wonderful angel mom who lost her daughter, who had 5 beautiful children, and she was killed violently. And, she spoke, and she spoke unbelievably. I saw it. And the fake news didn't pick it up. She spoke. She was in tears. She's devastated. Her life is, essentially, she's told me her life is like over. But there was I think no stories. Isn't that true? No stories. 0 stories. It was the most emotional thing. Everybody that watched it, they couldn't believe it. The fake news refused to put it up. So it's very sad. And yet they talk about this guy like he's an angel. See the angel up there? They think he's like that, like a little angel. No impact. It's just like unbalanced. Would you do that? Go ahead. What I would do. No impact whatsoever. I'm for stopping Iran, very simply, from having a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I want Iran to be great and prosperous and terrific. I stopped them once. They were broke, and they didn't have any money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. There wouldn't have been an October 7th disaster. They were broke. They had no money, and they weren't spending it to terrorist organizations because they had none. When Biden came in, he took all the sanctions off. China wasn't allowed to buy. I said, if you buy, because they're their biggest customer, I said, you buy 1 barrel of oil, just 1 barrel of oil from Iran, and you can't do business in the United States. And by the way, we have nice conversations going with China just to intercede. It's like really very good. But with Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon, and if they have a nuclear weapon, you'll all be very unhappy. You'll all be very unhappy because your life will be in great danger. Yeah.
Keeps looking in.
Press out, press out.
Is
Well, thank you very much, everybody. This is a very important day. It's a day that we're delighted to swear in Dr. Mehmet Oz as the next administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, which is a big deal. Congratulations to Dr. Oz and his beautiful wife, Lisa, and their friends and family on this really incredible achievement. Come a long way, huh? It's just amazing. Dr. Oz comes to this position as one of the nation's most talented and beloved medical professionals. He graduated from Harvard University. Ah, Harvard, well, how convenient. Should we talk about Harvard? Before obtaining his MD at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, a great one, and really some amazing education while also earning an MBA from the wonderful Wharton School of Business. He completed his medical residency at the world-renowned New York Presbyterian Columbia University Medical Center. Dr. Oz then had a sterling medical career in which he became an internationally acclaimed heart and lung surgeon, highly respected. He served as director of the Cardiovascular Institute and integrative medicine program at New York Presbyterian, and as a longtime professor at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons. Boy, oh boy, Doctor, I thought he just did a show. I only know the show. You know why I know the show? Because he said, I'm a little overweight, I should lose some weight. I did a show, and that's what I got out of it. That was not good, but I'm looking at all of this other. This is very impressive. Dr. Oz authored more than 400 contributions to academic and scientific publications and holds several patents for technologies that revolutionize cardiovascular surgery. And Dr. Oz later translated his experience into an extraordinarily successful television career, making him one of the most trusted voices on healthcare. And he also got very high ratings, I can tell you that. He did great with the television thing. As CMS Administrator, Dr. Oz will work tirelessly to strengthen and protect Medicare for our nation's seniors and Medicaid for the needy. Just as I promised, there will be no cuts. We're not going to have any cuts. We're going to have only help. Dr. Oz will work to improve the quality of care for decades to come, and he'll ensure that criminals, fraudsters, and illegal aliens are not permitted to rob America's seniors. They are trying, but they're not going to get away with it. He will also work alongside Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. I've heard of him. He's a pretty famous guy. He's doing a great job, too, to address the crisis of chronic illness and to make America healthy again. So I want to just thank Dr. Oz, and because this is a big commitment he's making. He has a lot of options, and this is a big, big commitment. And I want to congratulate you and your family on really an amazing life. And I think this is going to be by far the most important part of an already incredible life. So thank you very much. God bless you, my friend. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
Charlie 350, Stapleton, Williams. Sure.
Wow, what a job, huh? Are you ready, Bobby?
I sure am.
Let's do it.
You put your hand on the Bible, your left hand, and raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I, Mehmet Oz, do solemnly swear
I, Mehmet Oz, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office on which I am about
discharge the duties of the office upon I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God. God bless you. Thank you, God bless.
I've got to start off by thanking
Three people. Mr. President, thank you very much. God bless you for leading our nation, but also courageously leading the Maha movement, really earnestly in your heart wanting to get America to be healthy again, and for giving me an opportunity to help with that mission. Secretary Kennedy has been leading the charge at Health and Human Services. A dear friend, like a brother, has done unbelievably courageous work because he's curious and he's started answering a lot of important questions. And I will treasure for the rest of my days your trust in me to help you with this progress. Thank you. And of course, Lisa, the family, but Lisa in particular, who's had an uncanny ability to identify opportunities and to always keep a clear North Star to keep our family grounded. God bless you, my beautiful one. Let me start with a simple premise. Every great society, everyone, has an opportunity to take care of its most vulnerable and treasures that opportunity. And we're a great people, so we will do the same. As we entered the main building, the Humphreys building, where Health and Human Services is located, there's a placard of Hubert Humphrey, and it says that it's a moral opportunity, a moral obligation of government to take care of people in the dawn of their life, the kids, in the twilight of their life, the elderly, the mature, the seniors, and those in the shadows of life, those struggling with disabilities. We want to provide America with access to great care. We want to save the public health insurance programs of this country. That's what President Trump asked me to do when he took this position to administer the programs at CMS. Now, if we're going to do that, you've got to be honest with each other. And a physician, President Trump has to always do that, right? We've got to share news, so do presidents, that folks don't want to hear, but it's important for our well-being. So I'm going to give you 4 bullet points to remember. Bullet point number 1, and they're all numbered in order for a reason. Medicaid is the #1 budget item for many states, and it is crowding out education, other important social programs. The states are having a big problem, and that's with the federal government paying most of the bill. Item number 2, healthcare expenditures are increasing at 2% higher than the economy is growing. And because of that, we spend more than 2 times per person on health care than any other country on the planet, and we're not getting value for that. Because number 3 is that we are, in America, experiencing an unfortunate problem, which is medical errors are the number 3 cause of death. Did you know that, Mr. President? It's surprising, with that much money invested, we're still having problems. And number 4, our life expectancy, despite all this investment, is continuing to slip back, and we're now more than 4 years shorter in our life expectancy than countries that we used to be equal to. But
looking around. Go ahead. 612. She's clear and on the 7 at 5 guys.
Medic 7 footage and 8 can be across the street right in front of the Times Market.
10 boys, clear.
44, 10, 18, 44, 20.
Very much enough. Delta 380 subject released. Stuff on there.
And 44, 10, I'll be clear.
10 4.
Charlie 315, do we have history of this female caller on this mail at this location?
Delta 10, no, man, come check.
Ready, 14, go ahead.
Delta 320 right to CDC 1 now. 365 in there. Delta CDC 1. Delta 350, clear my card. County, can we go?
That vehicle is
dispatch track 17.
It's parked in front of the residence that it belongs to. I'll be quick. 17, go ahead.
Go 1 bay, beginning 0. The effect that was called, Charlie 25 about a black man in the 60s. This is for a trespass. This is from 3 of this year. That was a 320 rifle. We're at 30 today. Black male in his 60s, and she was wearing a black long-sleeve shirt, black pants, head covering, refusing to leave. The subject was known to be intoxicated. No weapons on that call. And that call, she stated he was there yesterday. It was a Charlie 350, 450 responded. They made comments on the call saying they made contact with her and they cleared. There was no report. No prior PD arrival.
There was no other calls before that.
I think my dad turned over for a daughter. Lady, woman intoxicated and screaming. Not physical with his husband. Your case number 0120-0120. He went outside the house banging on the front door. He wanted to Ashley Bedouin, 29 years of age.
So, I apologize. Can you leave the info?
Especially, 1305, 3171. Some big object in the roadway. Not sure if it's a couch cushion or slab of concrete. It's light gray in color in the right lane. Northbound side of the highway.
You get PD on to our location on a rush. We got a lifetime just trying to get on our way to patient care.
Okay.
3171, show me.
315, everything's code 4. Show me clear.
Just one there. One 5310.
Milwaukee 11 has a Kirby 29087. One reading 801-904. No active.
That's 3 cops.
Charlie 335.
364, man.
This is 380. Show me 580. I'm getting real.
Yes, go ahead and cross-reference. This was a call that was assist custody, third Weber, Holiday HEB, and then go ahead and change this address on the call to that same address, please.
Her document was 15.
It took me to one at HEB, so you should be the same caller.
4150. 314. Just check out second
10 4.
Let's check on the heavy set spec male. Very 100 feet north, not seen walking towards the water tower. Aggravated.
Dispatch 108. You can slow people down.
Shorter cut.
Okay.
Just off card in this recall.
This call killer truck 4 is out of service. The notes are stating that she's requesting an ambulance as well. So I'll get back here.
Right, 24. Everybody to Franklin. 10-4. I'm getting out.
Truck 4, 28910,
Thank you, sir. Drop 4 will be available in quarters. Scott Farms out of service.
Received. Great. Call for like 14 medical for underage with injuries. EC 1411 at 6637 Spurs. 6637 Spurs.
we have a EMS 5637 Spurs Nation. Charlie, supervising, they were difficult to understand. The line disconnected. They got another call. They were requesting an ambulance. They have medics en route. They verified the address as well. The call.
Maybe a 7 at Vix.
6 to 11, just Thursday.
Careful 42, Edward.
Tony, take me in route.
Just all 2 and 5.
1926.
10-4,
RMC 20, I'll be standing by for 5 minutes closer.
33 on 10-4.
Call for engineering team anything for assistance in 50,001 at 5210 Sterling, Good Tunes, and Sterling Pressure Repairs in Tiger, 1.5 dispatch 1996.
Once I do, I'll be in the area to locate.
Sam?
Call 150.
There's vehicles in this area. Victor 50, put me on that shelter.
Yep, careful. That's right.
Thank you.
Charlie 220, copy plate.
Simple word, go ahead.
Norwich on Nora 8880.
Norwich on Nora 8880. We're arriving Bay. Any mile, this 4.4.
Received.
Careful 156. So forth.
Nice one.
Code 1, shoreline, 70.
Lieutenant Victor going north 2524.
Call 706.
Still 36, I'll be clear my part.
Charlie 345, we can take that alone.
That's right, you know.
920 at transit, got 2 from A&M on HUB.
27 Texas.
Indian 17, go ahead.
In Council PD,
14166976, level 3.
10, go.
From Zebra 14, 150.
150, Kootenai, address 3011 Moore Avenue out of Portland, eligible class 12, higher than 26, negative 29, shall be attached.
$140,000.
Delta 375, show us out of Tom's Market.
652 transit passenger refused service.
And it is your
by
patriotic duty.
School
I'll say it again. The patriotic duty of all Americans.
Oh, and she spoke unbelievably. I saw
On airs and on.
agenda because it makes it easier for people to do the right thing, especially the mothers of this great land, because they're the ones who really get caught with this responsibility. They're the ones deciding for their kids. They're the ones we want to empower. And curiosity, which is the key word here, truly asking questions you want the answers to, will allow the MAHA movement to thrive. The next big thing we want to focus on is modernizing Medicare and Medicaid. That's how Americans will get the care that they want, need, and deserve. We need to empower patients and providers, both. The doctors and the patients both have to be equipped with better tools. And the president is showing that he actually does love and cherish Medicare with all these executive orders, like the one on transparency, sir, that really helps us by making sure people are equipped with information. So you shine a light in the dark shadows where so much of the problems happen with the healthcare system. And remember, the most expensive care is bad quality care. That's what we want to stamp out. And finally, we want to crush fraud, waste, and abuse. This is stunning to me. I've got a message for all the bad guys from me, the secretary, and the president. We are going to stop people from stealing from our most vulnerable, from stealing with the taxpayers of America, or honestly trying to support these programs. And we're going to be able to do it in quite a few ways. We are coming for you. And I'll give you a couple examples. Mr. President, these are ones that you may want to use in some of your future conversations. Almost 250,000 people, American citizens, were fraudulently enrolled without their knowledge in exchange programs by brokers who were unscrupulous, stealing from the U.S. government by pretending these people were on programs they never told them about. Tens of millions of dollars, Mr. President, are being spent on illegal immigrants receiving Medicaid in California, and they're pushing the bill to us. Should we stop that? I think so. That will not continue. We're spending about $1 billion on Medicaid programs for dual state eligible patients, which means you live in one state, but the system thinks you're in another state, and maybe a third state, and we're paying all 3 states for services you're not getting because you don't live in 3 states all at once. And finally, and this one really bothers me, there are states who are using Medicaid dollars for people who are vulnerable are being used for non-medical purposes. For example, public labor unions are getting child care through some of this money. That doesn't make sense to me. Housekeeping, I wish I could get that for my home. There's a big problem with student loan repayments taking place with Medicaid dollars. That's not where it should be used. And we are paying for DEI programs. I could go on, but these are all programs, Mr. President, that we have created a war room at CMS to go after, to catch the fraud in real time before the money leaves the federal coffers. So we have the money to reinvest in healthcare to make it even stronger than it's been before. Together, we're going to make the care better. We're going to make the outcomes improve. And we're going to make sure that America can actually be the healthiest country that could ever possibly be. We'll make America healthy again. God bless you both, sir.
No subject dropped off. I'll be 10.
Sir, Mr. President, Secretary Rubio said that the U.S. will have to figure out whether a deal can be done between Russia and Ukraine in a matter of days, or you will just move on.
Yeah, very shortly.
How many days is that?
No specific number of days, but quickly. We want to get it done. We're talking about here people dying, and we're talking about over there people are dying also, like on average 2,500 young people, soldiers, They're not from America. They're not from anywhere else other than Ukraine and Russia. But we want to save these lives. So it's 2,500 a week are being killed in battle. It's a vicious battle with the best equipment, the best everything, and it is brutal. 2,500 young people a week. Some of them not so young, actually. They're getting older. They're getting older by the month. But 2,500 a week, and we're going to get it stopped ideally. Now, if for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. Now, Marco's right in saying it. We want to see it end. Think of it. Every day, a lot of people are being killed as we talk about, as they play games. So we're not going to take that, and we'll see. I think we have a good chance of solving the problem, however. Yeah. Go ahead.
Are you prepared to walk away completely from these efforts and these talks?
Well, I don't want to say that, but we want to see it end. We want to see it end, yeah.
Is Vladimir Putin stalling, in your view, Mr. President?
I hope not. We're going to let you know about that soon if he is, but I hope not. He's got a big force out there, big force. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president. That's a war, and it didn't happen for 4 years. That's a war that should have never happened. October 7th, Israel would have never happened. Iran was broke, and now we'll see what happens with Iran. We have a lot of them out there. We have a lot of things that we're working on right now that shouldn't have happened. None of it. Ukraine would have never happened with Russia. October 7th would have never happened, so you wouldn't have had all the problems in the Middle East. The Afghanistan embarrassment, probably the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. By the way, prices are down. Groceries are down. Eggs, which you hit me so hard, I'll never forget the first week in office, they were screaming at me about eggs. I said, what's going on with eggs? They were doubling and tripling. I said, I just got here. They were up like double, triple, and you couldn't get any. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter. Well, you can have all the eggs you want. I'll tell you, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, did a great job. And the egg prices are down 87%. But nobody talks about that. You can have all the eggs you want. We have too many eggs. In fact, if anything, the prices are getting too low. So I just want to let you know, prices are down. Gasoline yesterday in 3 states hit $1.98 a gallon. And it looks like it's at a level that it hasn't seen since my days, my 4 years. So it's about I'd say maybe, I think we're going to be averaging $2.25 very soon. So I just want to let you know, though, because I keep hearing about prices and inflation. Prices are coming down, not going up. Only the fake news says they're going up. The only thing that's even are interest rates. And if we had a Fed chairman that understood what he was doing, interest rates would be coming down, too. He should bring them down. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what do you need to see from both sides in order to keep negotiations going? What do you want to see from Russia and Ukraine?
I have to see, my whole life has been one big negotiation, and I know when people are playing us, and I know when they're not, and I have to see an enthusiasm to want to end it. And I think I see that enthusiasm. I think I see it from both sides. But you're going to know soon.
Do you think Russia's playing you?
No, nobody's playing me. I'm trying to help. This was Biden's war, by the way. By me getting involved, they'll say, oh, Trump. This is not Trump's war. This is Biden. This is a war that should have never happened. Okay? Think of it. Those cities are crushed and crashed, and all those beautiful steeples, the most beautiful in the world, actually considered the most beautiful in the world. Most of them are now smashed to smithereens, as they say, and lying on the ground in a million pieces. Those towns are crushed, the whole place. It's so horrible. And millions of people are dead, far more than you think. That's one thing you're going to get out of this war. You're going to find out that your estimates are far lower than, it's far worse than people think. Nobody's playing anybody. We are going to see if we can get it done. I think we have a really good chance of getting it done, and it's coming to a head right now.
Ukraine militarily.
Say it.
If you do decide to
Well, I'm not going to say that because I think we're going to get it done. I don't know about the group you're talking about, but if they're bad people, I would certainly authorize it, yeah. You know, I won an election in a landslide. We won all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts to 505 districts, 2,750 to 5. That's why the map, when you look at it, is all red. And one of the biggest reason, I think the biggest single reason, actually, I'd like to say it's because of this, because I think they're going to come up with things that are incredible. But probably the biggest reason was because of the border and because of illegal immigration. And the people of this country want those people out. Because what Biden did, and I don't know if he did it, I'm not even sure he knows what the hell he was doing, but what his people did, representing him, was allow millions and millions of people from jails, from prisons all over the world, people from mental institutions and insane asylums, gang members, drug dealers, pouring into our place. And you know what? Our people voted for me to get them out. They want them out. They want them out. And we've done a hell of a job. And by the way, Ecuador and various places, but El Salvador, we've been helped by a lot of other states where they're helping us, actually, because you couldn't look. What this man was thinking when they allowed open borders and people to come in, if you look at Venezuela, their crime is down by 72%. You know why? They took all their criminals off the street. They took all their prisoners from jail. They took murders. 11,088 murderers were released into our country. Bad things are going to happen. Bad things. And we're getting them out. And that's why I was elected. A judge wasn't elected to do that. I was elected to do that. And we're doing it in record fashion. We have the safest border, the most secure border we've ever had. See the Declaration of Independence? You should all read that before you leave. That's the real deal. You should all read it before you leave. Yeah. Sir, go ahead, please.
Photos have emerged of the Senator Island showing what appears to be Rodrigo Garcia down in El Salvador. Do you encourage other Democrats to go down to El Salvador to meet with this illegal alien who's an accused white?
I like this guy. See, now, this is the kind of a reporter we like. There aren't enough of them. We got to get some more of them. But, no, I appreciate that question. No, look, he's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad. If you would go into the room, you might, if you would, Caroline, maybe go into the room and see if you can find that little slip. I wrote some things down. I don't know why you'd want to keep them, but I just we got a little biography of him. Not a very innocent guy. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in the spirit of Easter Sunday.
While we're on the subject, right? So you're talking about Abrego Garcia. Is that the one? Yeah.
Be clear, sir.
Is an illegal alien MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist. This comes out of the State Department and very legitimate sources. I mean, I assume I'm just giving you what they handed to me, but this was supposed to be certified stuff. In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse than Tren de Aragua, and maybe worse. They kill people with knives because it's more painful. Very famous for the knifing and killing of 2 young 16-year-old girls walking to school one day, and they sliced them up into little pieces and killed them. That's MS-13. And 2 separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13. When Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money pouring out, an MS-13 gang symbol that he was driving with 2 other known violent MS-13 gang members, 2 of the most violent members that we know of in the MS-13 gang of thugs. In 2022, Garcia was stopped by the Tennessee Highway Patrol and was found to be transporting 7 people from Texas to Maryland, and he had no driver's license. He was driving violently. In 2020 and 2021, Garcia's wife filed for a protective order from him and said he was violent and abusive and really scary. including allegations that he punched and scratched her on the eye, left her bleeding after throwing her laptop on the floor at her, ripped her shirt, and ripped off her shorts. He then grabbed her arm, leaving very severe marks. Garcia's wife also wrote in court, "At this point, I am afraid to be close to him. I just don't want to be close. I have multiple photos and videos, how violent he can be, and all of the bruises that he's left on me." She just couldn't get anywhere near him. This is the man that the Democrats are wanting us to fly back from El Salvador to be a happily ensconced member of the USA family. Isn't it a shame? And by the way, I've been hit pretty hard by fake shows, fake news, MSDNC in particular, where they talk about how evil I am, that this man would be thrown out of our country. This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person. And they want this man to be brought back into our country where he can be free and to stay as a happily Maryland, they call him the Maryland man. He's a Maryland father. No, he's a violent person. Who they don't talk about is that wonderful angel mom who lost her daughter, who had 5 beautiful children, and she was killed violently. And, she spoke, and she spoke unbelievably. I saw it. And the fake news didn't pick it up. She spoke. She was in tears. She's devastated. Her life is, essentially, she's told me her life is like over. But there was I think no stories. Isn't that true? No stories. 0 stories. It was the most emotional thing. Everybody that watched it, they couldn't believe it. The fake news refused to put it up. So it's very sad. And yet they talk about this guy like he's an angel. See the angel up there? They think he's like that, like a little angel.
Would you be open?
It has no impact the way she did. Look at her. No impact. It's just like unbalanced. Would you do it? Go ahead. What I would do.
Would you be open to letting her
See that?
Charlie 315 for the suspicious person in the car.
No impact whatsoever. I'm for stopping Iran very simply from having a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I want Iran to be great and prosperous and terrific. I stopped them once they were broke and they didn't have any money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. There wouldn't have been an October 7th disaster. They were broke. They had no money, and they weren't spending it to terrorist organizations because they had none. When Biden came in, he took all the sanctions off. China wasn't allowed to buy. I said, if you buy, because they're their biggest customer, I said, you buy 1 barrel of oil, just 1 barrel of oil from Iran, and you can't do business in the United States. And by the way, we have nice conversations going with China just to intercede, It's like really very good. But with Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. And if they have a nuclear weapon, you'll all be very unhappy. You'll all be very unhappy because your life will be in great danger. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
Press out, press out.
No, she's out.
Out.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. This is a very important day. It's a day that we're delighted to swear in Dr. Mehmet Oz as the next administrator of the Centers for Medicine and Medicaid Services, which is a big deal. Congratulations to Dr. Oz and his beautiful wife, Lisa, and their friends and family on this really incredible achievement. Come a long way, huh? It's amazing. Dr. Oz comes to this position as one of the nation's most talented and beloved medical professionals. He graduated from Harvard University. Ah, Harvard. Well, how convenient. Should we talk about Harvard? before obtaining his MD at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, a great one. And really some amazing education while also earning an MBA from the wonderful Wharton School of Business. He completed his medical residency at the world-renowned New York Presbyterian Columbia University Medical Center. Dr. Oz then had a sterling medical career in which he became an internationally acclaimed heart and lung surgeon, highly respected. He served as director of the Cardiovascular Institute and Integrative Medicine program at New York Presbyterian, and as a longtime professor at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons. Boy, oh boy, doctor, I thought he just did a show. I only know the show. You know why I know the show? Because he said, I'm a little overweight, I should lose some weight. I did a show, and that's what I got out of it. That was not good. But I'm looking at all of this other. This is very impressive. Dr. Oz authored more than 400 contributions to academic and scientific publications and holds several patents for technologies that revolutionize cardiovascular surgery. And Dr. Oz later translated his experience into an extraordinary successful television career, making him one of the most trusted voices on healthcare. And he also got very high ratings, I can tell you that. He did great with the television thing. As CMS Administrator, Dr. Oz will work tirelessly to strengthen and protect Medicare for our nation's seniors and Medicaid for the needy. Just as I promised, there will be no cuts. We're not going to have any cuts. We're going to have only help. Dr. Oz will work to improve the quality of care for decades to come, and he'll ensure that criminals, fraudsters, and illegal aliens are not permitted to rob America's seniors. They are trying, but they're not going to get away with it. He will also work alongside Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I've heard of him. He's a pretty famous guy. He's doing a great job, too, to address the crisis of chronic illness and to make America healthy again. So I want to just thank Dr. Oz, and because this is a big commitment he's making. He has a lot of options, and this is a big, big commitment. And I want to congratulate you and your family on really an amazing life. And I think this is going to be by far the most important part of an already incredible life. So thank you very much.
God bless you,
my friend. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
Go ahead, Medicaid. We're coming in code 3 with a 79-year-old female. When we were right on scene, she was annual times 4 with a GPS of 15. Was having right-sided leg pain. She's having like an uncontrolled twitching to the right, the whole right side. In and out, she became fluid speech, so possible stroke. Finger stick of 123. We have a BP of 180 over 100. Pulse is at 97, and heart rate is at Saratoga, Mary William King, 6403. EPA is approximately 4410 traffic. Copy.
I called Sarah and I said, look, I've found a pretty cool boat. It's 22 meters long and it's got no guardrails.
That's a good sell to the wife.
Yeah. And she's like, well, are you nuts?
Meet Mike, the captain of this one-off, 72-foot, 12-meter wide, ultimate performance catamaran. Together with his wife, Sarah, and their daughters, they live aboard this incredible vessel. As a professional sailor, Mike has always had the need for speed and unique boats. When they went looking for their boat to set off with, they came across Commotion and fell in love. Her unique pod design, sweeping lines, and amazingly simple and light build will give any other performance catamaran a run for its money. After over a year of preparation, they have just left on their voyage and crossed the Atlantic, starting their travels along the world oceans on this ultimate performance cruiser. Follow along for a full tour and interview to know what it's like to live on this vessel.
I said, well, obviously the first thing we would do is put guardrails on the boat, and but it's a big, safe platform. It's going to sail really well, loads of space for the kids, and it's simple. long story short, we pretty much fell in love with the boat. Sarah came and had a look at it and saw the same things that I did. And here we are. In the year and a half we've had her, there have been a couple of times when I've thought to myself, what have we done?
Yeah.
It's too much boat, it's totally impractical, and you know, it is a lot of those things. But
children actually around Painter and Rojo. I don't know the intersection so far. 362-4. Do we know if the RP will contact or not?
Out of San Patricio County tonight, a mother arrested for DWI as investigators say she was passed out inside the family car, leaving her 3 young children to call for help. This happened in a remote area of the county last night.
Yeah, authorities were able to figure out that family's location through their cell phone signal and, well, some good old-fashioned police work. Our Michael Gibson is here in the studio now with the story. Michael?
That 32-year-old Simpson mom, Christina Perez, was jailed and now facing 2 felony charges. Those are for endangering a child and DWI with a child under the age of 15. Now, the children were eventually found after one of them called 911, a call that was actually handled by Metrocom dispatchers here in Corpus Christi. But the kids didn't know where they were, and that's when authorities went to work to find them. A desperate call for help came from a parked car somewhere in the middle of a dark night. On the line was a 7-year-old boy, scared, confused, but calm enough to dial 911. He told a Metrocom dispatcher his mom was asleep behind the wheel. His little brothers, just 5 and 1 years old, were with him, and they all had no clue where they were.
So his cell phone didn't have service, but as we were on the phone with him, we found out that his mom had a cell phone also. So the little boy called 911 from that cell phone, and that gave us a location in the center of Nueces Bay.
Dispatchers stayed on the line with the young boy for the entire time. Other Metrocom workers coordinated with officers from Centon, San Patricio County, and DPS. What followed was a full-scale boots-on-the-ground search stretching from Taft to Portland.
We had officers who were sending messages to help her to ask for a license plate. We had another dispatcher pinging the phone, his mother's phone, doing a phone trace. We had people, looking for the vehicle registration, trying to see if we had any history.
90 minutes later, success. A sheriff's deputy spotted the vehicle along County Road 2849. The children were safe, shaken, but unharmed. Their mother, however, was given a breathalyzer on the spot. According to investigators, she failed. She's now facing charges for DWI and child endangerment.
The good Lord was taking care of these kids, because you're in a situation like that, you're in the middle of nowhere. What's the next step? If she had...
Dispatch 6503, 10-7.
10-4.
Right.
Correct.
Hello and welcome to Martin Diving Services Underwater Bottom Boat Inspection. Which you'll see in this lesion on the bottom. This is took care of the prop. Shaft looks great. Sanded the shaft, and she's all looking good. Just a little spin there for you to give you an idea of functionality. See if there was any indication of bonding. You guys really.
8 Henry King, Nora. 8 Henry King, Nora. Yeah. Broadway and Sacramento.
4410, put me on the unknown vehicle.
This will be a newer red GMC truck at the time of marketers and parked blocking the entrance to the store.
I'm here, I was the first one. I came here like 3:15 and I was like, I'm here.
And do you live in Miami?
So nice. No, I don't live here.
People said all
Yeah.
From where?
I think I've got Nova Scotia. From Canada. Yeah. I know you know where Toronto is, so.
Oh, I know where Nova Scotia is.
Okay,
Yeah.
You guys make yourself comfortable. You can roam around, go inside, however you like.
We're gonna go rest.
The parents can pick up the on the child.
10-4.
Charlie, 320 and clear.
Great quality. Give him a call up there if you're interested, 239-41. And he asked us if we could come over and do a video on it. The boat is powered by twin inboard manned diesels with a large Onan 20 kilowatt generator, and the vessel had a complete restoration of its interior back in 2015 and 16 time frame, and it looked radar. Would be like a windshield area, but that's okay. Stepping aboard. Teak is all in great shape, left to age naturally. So we have stainless shifters and throttle. Okay, let's flip down footrests. And now we're looking at port motor. Okay, let's go inside the salon. Nice heavy duty door. Just locks open. And take a look at this interior. Completely restored back in 2016, and it looks and smells brand new. Beautiful woodwork. The headliner, everything replaced. All the furniture. Nice, plush. Trash compactor. Little garage for appliances.
220, disturbance 3132 Bay Road. In contact with Virginia.
Over under fridge freezer, stainless. These Modelo's look good. Microwave, stainless. Freezer down below. All right. Storage underneath. All the cabinets. The quality of this work, you could tell it hasn't been chopped apart. Like, this is all original from the build. Now, there's dust on everything. It hasn't been touched. It hasn't had to be touched. Look at how well everything is laid out. Just amazing. Okay, so that's the panel. So going down here to the port side of the ship, go down a couple steps, and you have this little companionway here. Again, look at this, the fabric, beautiful. The porthole covers, the woodwork, the carpeting, everything is brand new condition. Here we're coming into the guest cabin. Again, amazing. I mean, I don't get impressed too often by boats, but when you have a boat this age that is in this type of condition, it's just, you know, amazing. And this is where you tell, look at the wall. Walls are vinyl, the headline of vinyl, all new, no signs of leaks, 7 feet of headroom. And again, another toilet. This would be good. I'm going to say what? 8 inches, 10 inches wide, the walkway. So it would be a matter of getting the right equipment for it. A nice large anchor locker here. There's a documented Coast Guard documentation vessel number. Access to your waste pump outs in here. I like these nice big cleats here. Here's the walkway coming down port side. Here's looking at the forward portion of the salon area. That's a big hatch going into the heavy-duty radio.
Yeah, forward, Hawk report. 52. Dispatch, squad 2. Riding on scene.
Officer 14, 114 for fall. USA 113 at 1908 Gaslight. 1908 Gaslight. Work on fire dispatcher 26.
Charlie, 365 real quick. $2100 block of Highway 361, Texas Dealer Tag 1 Paul 0937 Mary. 1 Paul 0937 Mary. It's going to be a Hyundai Elantra.
Unit
10 4.
825 barricaded and secured.
Yeah, quickly. Route 4 outfit. We'll clean back in the call. Victor 50, show me traffic, airline Metal Vista. Victor Paul Sam 9444. Adam 240, can you show me on the 7 at my 46, please?
Yes, I submit.
Yeah, it's a 340 case number.
Filter for that case number is 126.
Ten 4.
You are 5 and 656, name is Eugene, in west of Siberia, QSL. Roger, Pablo, thank you for 5 and 9, good luck to you and have a nice weekend. You are 5 and 656, name is Eugene, in west of Siberia, QSL.
The Morgan in San Jose on a David Young Boy 2554. Unit 1.
10-4, David Young Boy 2554.
Unit 1. LPR on duty. 10-4. Okay, fire on. Delta 265, run trigger.
Different area.
Unit 4, hard report. 10-4.
All right, guys, welcome to another
1625.
Delta 24.
Bravo 10, be advised, it's going to be 3142. Delta 265, there's no vehicle here. Go ahead, call.
3142, 10-4. I copy, no vehicle. Delta 4.
Charlie 315, clear.
10-4.
Delta 265, we'll be clear, and then show us an route to main.
10-4.
Victor 50, clear.
10-4.
Charlie 290 airline, honey. Victor 40, I'm right here. I can take it. 10 for 265 group.
2410 traffic. Charlie 620 traffic.
Florida, 2016. Delta 330, can we update location or stats on Morgan and 3rd? Morgan 3rd, that's
Charlie 335, clear 58. Everhard, Yorktown.
Everhard, Yorktown, so far. So far.
General 50 truck.
51.
900 block of 23rd Street, Victor Mary John 1422. Roger, traffic.
Three one five. Lone Star, security check. Mike 17, Mike 17, this is easy 1405, 55 versus Henderson, 450 Henderson, the village of Henderson, 5,003, pressure responding with engine 17, I think I'm ready to check the patient responding, we have your 10 for
For crew 2 motor vehicle and property safety situation in Omaha. Since someone stealing from his vehicle, happened at Dollar General. Follow the suspect to the location.
Dispatcher to 17, you have a day code. Charlie 250 in area.
Yeah, fine.
Delta 320, I'll be around a minute tag. Delta 280, Cleveland Park. Sorry, so what do you call me?
That's 10-4. After 1-5 on a burglary to a motor vehicle, the RP followed the suspect from the Dollar General to the H&B. Says last comments, he's requesting a cancel. He spoke to the male, asked him to apologize, and he's declining contact for a report.
Sorry, 310. If he doesn't want contact, we can go ahead and close it.
Which station came back to service? No transport. 2-4. 10-4.
Victor, 40 clear.
10-4.
$153.
Good.
$153. We have a report of a parking violation at China Wall. Caller advised a gray SUV blocking traffic parked in front of China Wall.
114.
$315. Everything's close for us. Show me clear.
10-4. $315. Double.
692 transit, individual 1043, please. Seven 5 1024. 1024, go ahead.
158.
Yes, sir, how can we help you? Okay, saying Amy is for people in immediate danger.
140, I'll be in front, so I'm not clear this building check.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? I know where to go.
One for you. Do we have any reports from her about the stolen vehicle here?
10-4. 10-4.
10-4. Her vehicle was stolen from that location by a co-worker. The vehicle was recovered in George West, I believe. And the co-worker was not the subject driving the vehicle at the time. The original report was taken by 141.
516 out with us. 153, I'm 23. I've checked the area. There's no vehicles blocking traffic.
No
Ordinance violations observed. I'll be
You ball on and all over. You're going to be on Victor David Lincoln 5226.
Ball on 50.
Victor David Lincoln 5226. Be pulling off on the Osage.
Dirty bud.
Yes, sir, I'll be clear. I'll be en route to Eddie's Tavern on SPD and LA.
10-4, is that signal 4?
Ten 24. Can I get a 1050?
Very nice.
South 340 arrives. Can you mileage 4.1?
to me.
Okay, 10-4. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
10-4.
Transit individual exited the unit.
On 50 traffic. Sorry, dispatch 171.
150. Right.
Shows arriving at shoreline, ending 14.
Looking for the rest.
North south. Yeah, it takes us towards Robert King, 4753. Towards Robert King, 4753. North south just before the underpass.
I'm 140, I'm 23.
Tempo 140.
Unit
53.
Charlie 320, I'm ready.
Stand report.
401 to base, may I have an individual, please?
153. 200 block of Fulton, Texas, William Frank Paul 8361. William Frank Paul 8361. 200 block of Fulton. Charlie 27.
401.
10-4, go ahead.
I have a young gentleman that keeps putting his motorbike in front of me with no lights on. I almost hit him, the young kid. I don't know what his issue is. He was trying to get his bike on my bus, and I told him I wasn't going to be responsible for the motorbike. Tonight, I'm sorry. Negative, that's not allowed on the unit. Before I know, it wasn't, I told him it wasn't, but the thing about it is he's gonna know, but he was, almost had two wrecks because he kept pulling his bike in, right in front of my bus. And off of, what is it, Waldron, but he's, hopefully gone now.
4430, clear.
Okay, 10-4, so I was within the last 10 minutes.
230, right?
Okay, 10-4.
That's 325, so clear. Yeah, Everhart, Saratoga, Henry Mary King, 0314. Henry Mary King, 0314, 10-4. Sorry, 3. Delta 250, you can 18350, the street department just got here. That's what you like. Canada, you were stopping on Acousnet. And certificate. One 50 connect. One ticket. After he was hit by another vehicle, and white truck took off into the neighborhood. Speeding down residential streets. I'll be 10-8. They were advised to call us back if she returns for a CPW. Delta 5330 for this audible alarm at the Williams Homes. 2320 Buford.
Delta 340 clear. Give me one of those half on that alarm.
One customer.
From Alex takes 46 for a call. Easy from 282, 5350 St. Andrews, 6350 St. Andrews, country of both Latin Long Meadow, local fire dispatch 2037.
Charlie 320, go. Cover a report of a beer run from the Stripes on 1A. Could be a young male that walked out of the store with an 18-pack of Miller Lite. He was seen wearing a gray TCU shirt, 6'1", skinny, about 19 years old. There was a female driving a red Nissan Rogue that got into unknown last direction of travel.
6210, you can throw the actual one. Charlie 320, did I come through?
That case number is 130-0130. Charlie 3. Charlie 3. For Charlie 335, I'll see him out as well. 7233 Penny Ridge.
It's 900 block of Airport Road. See a black four-door passenger car. Secured license plate.
500 Airport.
Consistent position across 4 administrations now. From your perspective, is the problem of universal injunctions a partisan one? And then what's the solution?
Thank you, Chairman Grassley. I do not believe it is a partisan problem, because it is a problem that has been hamstringing every administration since 2015. The end of the Obama administration, the first Trump administration, the Biden administration, and now the second Trump administration. So if you look at it over time, it's not a partisan problem. At any particular moment, undeniably, it is a partisan problem and has a partisan valence. But legislation should not just be about the moment. Legislation should be about the long view. And I think the only fair way to do this is to knock out the weapon of the universal injunction for everyone. Take it away from Democrats, take it away from Republicans, because what it really strikes at is our ability to have democratic self-government and effective government action by the federal government.
Mr. Panuccio, in your written testimony, you said that it's important to pass legislation to make temporary restraining orders against the government appealable. the legislation I propose does that. Can you expand a bit more on your views here? What are temporary restraining orders, and why is it important that they be, that they're appealable?
Thank you, Chairman. It's an important question because the latest trend in non-party relief appears to be courts entering what's called a temporary restraining order instead of a preliminary injunction. Now, in my experience as a litigator and in my years as a lawyer, a TRO was supposed to be a very short-term order from the court when it is impossible for the court to hold a hearing with both parties, and it might enter, for example, a 24-hour TRO until it can get a hearing on a preliminary injunction, an actual hearing with adversaries arguing the facts and the law to the court. But what we're now seeing is the courts are entering these TROs, which can under the rules last for up to 2 weeks and then be extended for another 2 weeks. And the issue is that the courts have interpreted TROs to not be appealable. Now that may be a dubious interpretation, but that is the law of the land right now. And so it is effectively allowing district judges to insulate themselves from review. So it's bad enough that we have district judges saying, I am a ruler for the entire nation. But now they're saying, they're not elected, so the people can't have a say. They're also saying that the appellate judges who are supposed to oversee my decisions, I don't want them hearing it either. So let me enter a TRO instead of a preliminary injunction or some other immediately appealable order. So I do think it is virtue of your bill, Chairman, that TROs or any other similar order would be immediately appealable.
Senator Durbin, I've asked Senator Moody to take over for me while I go to another meeting. So
she's very strict.
Oh, you proceed. Yeah. Thank you, Senator Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Professor Bray, I'm going to ask you to stick with me for a second here and talk about possibilities. Along comes President Trump and decides that the following sentence doesn't make sense. 14th Amendment, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So the president decides one of his 103 executive orders will eliminate that language, the language of the Constitution, and question whether or not birthright citizenship is legal in America. Cases were filed. One judge, a Ronald Reagan appointee, said the efforts by the administration are blatantly unconstitutional. If you accept the normal process which you described to us, how should that case be handled if we've done away with the universal application of decisions?
Thank you, Ranking Member Durbin. I think that's an excellent example of how the courts are supposed to work. The courts are going to decide the cases. In every single one, the courts will say there's birthright citizenship under the Constitution. There will not actually even be a disagreement between the circuit courts, and there won't even need to be a decision from the Supreme Court. So what you'll see is distributed decision-making across the federal judiciary that will resolve the question.
But assume the alternative, that there is a federal judge in some state, I'll pick one, Texas or Louisiana, who says, I think the president's right. I believe birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. So you have a case in controversy, and it affects only the cases filed in that district?
Well, it wouldn't affect just the cases filed in the district, because a district court judge actually has no precedential authority, even within a district. There's no ability for a district judge to.
Well, let me amend my comment. Circuit.
Yes, if a district judge took that position, and then it was affirmed by the Court of Appeals, then what you would have is a circuit split between different circuits, and the Supreme Court would resolve that circuit split. And then what the Supreme Court would have is a range of different judges from different geographical places with different ideologies, different generations, all speaking to the same question, and that puts the Supreme Court in a position to do its best work. I don't think that particular legal question needs to be in doubt, but just because one branch goes beyond its constitutional bounds doesn't mean the judiciary should go beyond its.
So I guess my question is, in light of individuals' personally affected by this, pregnant women as an example. We just have to let the process play out. Is that what you suggest?
There are ways to get a faster decision. As Professor Vladeck noted, you could have a national class action. But I think the basic commitment, I recognize there can be a human cost there, but the basic commitment of our legal system is you don't get an immediate right decision right away. It takes time. It's like the old carpentry adage, measure twice, cut once. And that's the kind of legal system we have.
Professor Vladeck?
I mean, I think it's worth underscoring the human consequences that my friend just kind of brushed right past. Because if it takes 3 years for that circuit split to get to the Supreme Court, you're going to have 3 years where in large parts of the country, children born to undocumented parents will not be citizens. Some of those children could be subject to removal by the United States on the ground that they are not citizens. It is not possible for the federal courts to order those folks to be brought back. And so that relief that Professor Bray holds out as possible 3 years later is of no help to the children who were citizens under the Constitution, but who were removed in the interim. And so again, I mean, the broader policy question here is what should the rule be in this interim window? Professor Bray and I agree that it's all about what is the status quo while the case gets to the Supreme Court. Should the status quo be the policy is either in effect or not in effect on a nationwide basis, or should the status quo depend upon which jurisdiction you live in and what your particular status is? And that's why it seems to me if we want to talk about real reform, we should be talking about reforms to bolster the other vehicles, the nationwide class action, and not just taking off this stopgap that has emerged in its place.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ranking Member. Senator Blackburn?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you all for being here. I've got to tell you, being in Tennessee over the weekend and then doing a telephone town hall with several thousand Tennesseans last night, the overreach of the judiciary is something that continued to come up. The way we have seen these activist judges troubles people, and they're wanting to see something done, so they were pleased that we were having this hearing, and they're concerned that you are seeing district judges come in and exercise this sweeping injunctive relief that doesn't apply to the case before them, doesn't apply to the district in which they are seated. So, Professor Bray, I want to talk with you for just a moment. One of the things that Senator Grassley noted and that many of us have discussed is that there is no constitutional and no statutorial authority for federal district judges to issue these injunctions. And so talk for a minute about the effect of that lack of authority.
I'm happy to, Senator. So I think that is correct. There is no statutory basis for granting universal injunctions, and there is no constitutional basis for doing so either. So courts, to be courts, have to exercise the judicial power. And the judicial power is not defined by the Constitution, but the Constitution instead uses what's a known commodity, that is the reference to the judicial power. It is courts deciding cases for the parties. So a universal injunction is fundamentally different from that. A class action is still a case. It's a case, it's a large case, but it's still a case, and if the class wins, the class wins. If the class loses, the class loses. But it's a decision for a case. And what makes the universal injunction different is you have a very small case and a remedy that's for everyone. So my friend Professor Vladeck noted this question about like what's going to be the interim rule. Is the interim rule going to be you have a policy or you don't have a policy? And when we have courts disagreeing about what the interim rules should be, we shouldn't default to as long as there's one court that doesn't like it, it's stopped. That's what makes it a sclerotic effect on government action. The government can't act if all it takes is one court not wanting the rule or the policy to go into effect for the entire country.
Let me ask you also about injunction bonds, because under Rule 65, then a party who is seeking an injunction is required. The bond is mandatory. But we have not seen that used in these nationwide injunctions against President Trump. So speak a little bit about the utilization of injunction bonds and when that's appropriate.
I'm happy to, Senator. I have an above median interest in injunction bonds, and I'm happy to talk about them. So there was an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal a couple days ago that suggested it was a problem for injunctions that were being given against the Trump administration, that no injunction bonds were required. Now, I do think the federal rules of civil procedure require injunction bonds. I think it would be a good practice for federal courts to be requiring injunction bonds, follow the rule, require injunction bonds whenever you give an injunction against the federal government. And I think it's a way of taking into account the regulatory interests of the federal government and the costs injunctions impose. That being said, there's nothing invalid about an injunction just because it's not accompanied by an injunction bond. It still has to be followed. That doesn't mean the court lacks jurisdiction. It's still an order of a court, and it must be followed for that reason.
Thank you. Professor Vladeck, I wanted to talk to you about something you said in your testimony, and I thought it was really very interesting. You said that, and I'm quoting, "We have a Justice Department engaged in highly partisan and ethically dubious behavior," end quote. And I could not disagree with you more in that statement, and I really find it just rich with irony after we've sat here for 4 years and watched President Biden's DOJ weaponized against the American people. We had parents that went to school boards that were called domestic terrorists, and we have seen 2 tiers of justice. So you can submit for me in writing, since my time has expired, your explanation of why the Biden DOJ was not highly partisan, and you have assumed that the Trump DOJ is.
Can I briefly respond?
Thank you, Senator Blackburn. You can submit that in writing. Thank you, Senator Blackburn. And we'll turn it over to Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Professor Vladeck, good to see you. Just wanted to take a moment to follow up on something that you discussed in your opening testimony. Now, there's members of the committee, primarily on the other side of the aisle, that are trying to claim that there's a few radical judicial activists standing in the way of President Trump's agenda. But just as in his first term, it seems that the president's disregard for the law is actually the biggest thing standing in the way of his agenda. So I want to walk through some of the statistics again with you. How many cases have you identified where plaintiffs are seeking an injunction or a temporary restraining order against the current administration where the judge has actually issued a decision, and in how many was the relief granted?
Sure. So, Senator, as of last Friday, and the data obviously has changed since last Friday, the total number of cases we found was 67, and there were 46 of those 67 in which the judge had issued either a temporary restraining order or a preliminary injunction or both.
Okay, that's a lot, and it sounds like a pretty good success rate in terms of the challenges. Now, how many judges have heard these cases, and if you're able to tell or even have a ballpark, these judges were appointed by a president of which party?
Sure. So it's 39 different judges appointed by 5 presidents of both parties, including 2 Republican presidents, President Reagan, President Bush. And the cases are not...
John, Edward, Tom, Sam, Ocean, Nora, 2. 44 Kenny. Just go 144.
John, Edward, Tom, Sam, Ocean, Nora, 2. Bravo, 2 Tango.
Charlie 350.
350, go ahead.
No disturbance out here. An older female trying to take pictures and video, and she's hitting the SOS button.
224, ready?
I'll be clear.
1524, drive.
It's going to be Canada 44, Cal 81. What is it? George King, 41, North Henry.
1341 North Henry.
Charlie 390, 57.
10-4.
0.
Charlie 335, clear for us. 10-4.
Charlie 320, can you change this to a threats non-progress?
10-4. Charlie 235, Charlie 390, suspicious person 8033 SKD, the Harbor Landings Apartments. Line Millwood shirt says has a backpack he's flagging cars coming in and out of the property.
Item 210, clear traffic.
Charlie 335, 10-4. 140 stay.
I'm fine. 210, bars out.
Refreshing continuing to getting another call. The requesting to cancel the reservation at home when I was testing. I can show you available.
All fine.
Copy. Physical disturbance 3771 Arcus Court, 3771 Arcus Court. 365, repeat number 0133, 0133.
Medic 31, go ahead.
1206, out of service for the night.
Wrong for option 4. Zephyr.
Victor 60, unclear. 1206, 10-7 for the night.
Zephyr. 315, the road. Zephyr.
Bravo 2, 10-4, you got a fight at the water's edge.
Turn in here, so far. That's so far. I have Bravo 210 on the traffic, and then I have Bravo 220 on the shift person.
Item 15, clear.
Charlie 270, I'll be clear. You go tag up at the Bravo substation.
Ten four.
Bravo 2, I can be in route with 220.
10-4, what's the answer?
$44.20, I'm clear.
10-4.
Bravo 2, sounds like the guy with the bat is already cooperating. Triple 153. Bravo 2, pretty case number on my call.
10-4. Yo, so 350 area. Bravo 210 clear. You can have me the water search. 10 4. 10 4. Bravo 236, number 0134. 0134.
1045, you can put us back on the disturbance.
There's a female arguing and expressing the female.
Victor 12, show me traffic. The Ocean Airline, George Sam 64, John David. Slam on the brakes in front of me.
10-4-1-4.
10 4, some over in front of you.
6211, yeah, traffic. Just 340, I'm Morgan at 19.
I'm Morgan at 19.
10-4-6210.
Notes at 320, 230 for the disturbance of progress. Drive to third Morgan, 1303 third.
Bravo 40.
10 4, well. Delta 3.
That's 10-4, we'll respond today, and then 6:36 and we'll make a go.
Victor 70 traffic. Here's in South Antonio 03083.
McKinsey Leopard on a Tom X-Ray William 3849.
Tom X-Ray William 3849.
Oh, 230 case number on my call to 14400 Commodore's Drive. 14400.
Test 360. No assault took place. There's more of a disturbance to occur. I'll be clear. Can be in the stress call. 14400, 10 4. Yeah. 374.
315, everything appears code 4. You show me clear.
Yeah, 32 4, I'm already left. Charlie 290, 10 4. 320, 360, straight clear.
10-4-1-5, you're right.
415 arrived. And that's a 375. This destruction just occurred. This destruction was 74.
No, it's let me do 1400.
Let me do 401.
Bravo 220 area.
10 4. Morning, can every 2502 10 4. And that's what I'm just the York is going to be a Spanish feature. Actually, there's a woman showed up to the house and destroyed the windows to a vehicle that belongs to a coworker.
158. Show me clear from all 30.
Charlie 335, for the suspicious circumstances, 7233 Yorktown, dispatch. Make contact, Brianna.
Victor 40 Travis.
Victor 41.
Charlie 335, 10-4.
Victor Frank 5484.
Bravo 425 traffic.
Location.
Waldron SPID on William George John 7664.
William George John 7664, 10-4, level 430, 440 for the pedestrian in the roadway. And specializing at the red base 10 was the last location.
440 traffic. Bravo 440 around.
Charlie 315 for the investigation, 2838 SPID, Echo 4, and connecting on 222, then contact on T-score. Charlie 315 around.
Victor 60 traffic.
Your location.
Thornton Gar pulling into the Church's Chicken. Lloyd Tom Robert 8976.
Lloyd Tom Robert 8976, Church's Chicken 10-4.
One 44. Be on the access road in front of Best Western with Mary Zebra Charles 8658. Mary Zebra Charles 8658. Charlie 350 area. For 150. Charlie 250, you can 18 the other. I believe this is going to be the same subject that we just...
10-4, 245, let's check.
So 360. I take that call on 16th. I'm familiar with the subject.
10-4.
Bravo 4, I have a few issues. I'm going to log off, log back on. 150 traffic.
150, go ahead. Simple.
Charlie 370 on 58. I'm meeting at 365 call.
10-4. 10-4.
Can you see the location will be in the Country Inn and Suites parking lot?
Level 425 clear.
10-4.
10-4.
360. Copy the employee. Time William Robert Tom John. I'm sorry, it's going to be 9 William Robert Tom John.
Victor 50, show me hour 70, please.
Digit 14 dispatch. Show medic 14 out of service at the station.
Intro 345, let's for the hit and run lights and staples. Any contact with Eddie? Gina 30, put me on Victor 70.
Charlie 350, I'll be clear 57, I'll take the hit and run.
345.
I'll clear traffic.
Number Western on a Sam X-ray Mary 2273.
Victor 40, I'm clear. Victor 40.
Is that it?
Okay.
I'll get doing lights on.
Right 45, 54, copy.
22, right. What?
15, 10, rising, 27.8.
Victor 60, I'm clear.
10, 4.
Texas CDL 18569269 1856 9269 Doria.
10 4. Hey, level more 6654.
That 27 is going to be in custody and being routed to jail.
Now 420 and 440 for this. Early disturbance. It's River Square Apartments. 10342 River Lane, apartment 412.
631, 10
RP dealer is advising sister screaming, spitting in her face. Spider female wearing blue shirt and blue shorts. 148 traffic.
140.
Victor David 8667. Victor
Yes, location is 22045, Canada 1664. You know Santa Pat? 22045, Canada 1664. Our people did advise that there's one truck pushing two vehicles sitting at a green light in the middle of the road.
Delta 320, signal 4, AGB, left for noise suspect. Yep, 140, you can change that to the pretty small church parking lot. Delta 3 approach, that's a roll.
Roll 430 plus units, clear 57.
Delta 350, I'll be out with Delta 340.
Delta 433.
Delta 433.
Free call at 2633 person in, 2633 person in, ESE 8003, cross street of Beardmore and Deer Creek. Negate for a sick call. Work on fire dispatch at 2115.
45.
Sorry, person.
15. Charlie 26558.
Good.
No. Someone patrolling these hard properties.
Delta Franklin. You should be 7-4 at the American Bank Center.
Robert X-ray Frank 9493.
Sorry, 250, can we do a callback? I'm not seeing that vehicle out here.
No.
430 traffic.
No.
230, who's our record?
430, go ahead.
Tom Victor 08225.
Maybe gateway. I'll put it in the phone now.
Right in leopard.
You're working at using the Caldwell.
Charlie 335 area.
No far.
Four, five, two, somewhere.
333, patrolling Hillcrest. Delta 350, can we Delta 375?
Copy the GPS device activation. Ricardo. Ricardo. DSB 1111. Engine 4 Medic 11. Engine 4 Medic 11 for GPS device activation. Rudolph EMS 1 at 10
Charlie 365, 373. Need the GPS device activation. Anderson McCardle. Having a iPhone crash. Charlie 3.
I haven't been in the area. 440, same time.
Dispatcher truck 4, we're going to take that for the engine.
Truck 4, received. Engine 4, should be cleared in quarters.
CDC 1 in route to county.
North Southeast Charlie for this hazard debris, 624 Christina, 624 Christina Drive.
Staples and Texan, it's going to be on Robert Sam Henry 0527.
Robert Sam Henry 0527.
1524.
Charlie,
The National Weather Service has issued Tornado Watch number 144, effective until 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time Saturday. This watch includes the following counties: in Oklahoma, Cotton and Tillman, and the following counties: in Texas, Archer, Baylor, Clay, Wichita, and Will Barger. Remember, a tornado watch means the conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds in and close to the watch area. While severe weather may not be imminent, persons should remain alert for rapidly changing weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. Stay tuned to NOAA weather radio, commercial radio and television outlets, or internet sources for the latest severe weather information.
Advising, the short of the mail, has got an ARP on the face.
Memorial with Victor George Victor 9959.
Victor George Victor 99591 Memorial.
Those are right the location. Female, third leave.
314.
314.
Greenwood and Horn, Victor Charles X-ray 5238.
10-4, Greenwood and Horn.
And 14 dispatch, no medic 14 available in quarters at station 14.
Roll 40. Can you show me en route to Aquarius and Commodore, sir? Signal 4, please. Still 360. I'm clear. Traffic. 10-4. One 40 traffic.
Right.
2400 block Memorial. Paul Lincoln 5795. Paul Lincoln 5795.
No, thank you. I did two. Let me do one more just to make sure.
Charlie, 320 case number?
The 5 10 smart day. It's going to be for about 7 people outside the store harassing customers and refusing to leave.
CDC 1, show me arriving at County.
4410, I'm arriving.
Also, engine 606 when I was 6004 at 1 Carabel, 1 Carabel, local fire dispatcher 21.
Victor, I'm clear. I was Cannon 30.
63128 Texas.
Try to use too strong a current to begin with, use a very small trickle current. All you want is that field at that short period of time when you have transit through the back MMF zone. That's all you want.
It's timing.
Timing is everything. You have to pay for the timing and the switching. You don't have to pay for the energy. If there's one law we need to pound in every engineer's head, you have to pay for timing and switching. You don't have to pay for the energy. That's nonsense. The energy comes right straight out of the vacuum for free from all the charges. So that's one engine that we wanted to discuss that could be built by any craft shop or any outfit that builds motors and generators could easily build it with their own staff and workers that they already have. They would have to think a little different, just a tiny bit different.
Is that the same as the magnetic?
Yes, that's the magnetic Wankel engine. They actually put that engine one time in the Wankel tar.
It just proves the principle that it can fire into the track, see? There's the pulse, and then there's, see, that acceleration that takes place in the magnets, like this, see? It goes around there for free, but then comes by and triggers itself again, see? What? See it? And then down here is a dead spot, see?
Why didn't you run the magnets all the way around?
Because we just wanted to see if it would accelerate through the track. We just wanted to experimentally see that it would run
So by just
and do what they said it would. And it does. Of course, you get much finer with this, right? You get real finer in detail with this and make the pole piece bigger and the magnets closer together, and then the thing would fly. I mean, because it goes now. So it's just a model to prove that the theory worked.
And so you just you were satisfied with that, so you just quit.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it. It's a patented item, you know. I can make one,
right?
But you can't sell them.
Yeah, I think it hasn't patent expired now.
I don't know.
Yeah. When did you build this?
When I put the pages up on the internet, 96.
96.
Yeah, I wanted to see. You know, I was working with some magnets, and I wanted to see if that track theory worked.
Right.
And it does.
So if you ran the magnets all the way around, it would run.
It would run like the magnetic ring.
Right.
But I didn't want to make it too obvious.
You disconnected.
Yeah. I don't want to make it too obvious.
I see. You wanted to stay this side of the patent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not mine. So
Hitachi had you know, they had a scooter or something.
The reason it's not on the market is because the Japanese Yakuza has suppressed the Japanese engines that are over Unity off the market, including the Kawai engine, which was suppressed here in Huntsville, Alabama, directly in front of my eyes and directly in front of the people that I work with, my associates here. We have plenty of witnesses as to when Kawai's engine was seized and when control of his company and his fate was seized by the Japanese Yakuza, looking at us across the table. So this is not hearsay. This is something we absolutely experienced ourselves personally, and multiple people did.
Mr. Kawai.
This is the Kawai engine. We had just reached an agreement with Kawai, and Kawai does another trick that switches the back MMF path into a forward MMF. He switches the path. And if you apply the Kawai process to a high efficiency magnetic motor, for example, Hitachi motor, you can get one at 0.7 or 0.8 efficiency. The COP will be about double the efficiency, so you'll get 1.4 and 1.6 for your COPs. Again, totally consistent with physics and thermodynamics, nothing magical at all. Had his system and company and everything not been seized, we would have had, that was 96, we would have had Kawai engines worldwide on the market in 1997. And that's what stopped it, and that's what's stopping it today. So there are systems which work. If you wanted to do work on the Kawai engine, it works just like what he put in the patent. If you will carefully do the patent and use state-of-the-art switching, photon-coupled switching, you can build a Kawai engine, and if you'll start with a high-efficiency motor instead of a low-efficiency motor like we commonly have, you can have a motor that will go over Unity. Kawai already had one with positive feedback to run itself. That's the one we would have put on the market. So that's another one that anybody wants to build something absolutely legitimate. If you will take the time and the trouble and do it state-of-the-art switching, you can do it with the Kawai motor just as it's stated in the patent. There's nothing false in that patent. Another engine I'd like to talk about is a permanent magnet motor altogether, without any switching or without any trickle currents or anything. Now, let's reason together. If I'm going to violate this second law of thermodynamics, I'm going to have an extra input of energy from the environment. If the only energy going into the system is what I pay to put in, that system is never going over Unity, because it's got losses. I'm back in leaky diode engineering. I'll put in some, leak out some along the way, I'll get out less than what I put in. As simple as that. If I'm going over Unity and all I have available is leaky diodes, I have to have something else putting in energy. What it turns the diode into a triode. I'm paying for the grid signal and something else is putting in most of the energy. So understand very clearly, we cannot do this unless we receive in these permanent magnets an extra pulse of energy for free from the environment. So how can we do that? All I've got is permanent magnets. Where's the energy going to come from? Well, nature has been most kind. In magnetism, there are some 200 or so known magnetic effects. Well known, in the textbook, in the handbooks, you can go look at them. but only about 100 or so of them are well understood. The other 100 vary from somewhat understood to not understood at all. I want that to be clear. Magnetism has many areas that are still not well understood at all. Many times just an ad hoc theory. So, but there are lots and lots of rich effects in magnetism if you dig them out and look at them out of the magnetic materials handbooks. One of these is the exchange force. Go into Feynman's 3 volumes of physics and read what he says about exchange forces, for goodness sake. The magnetic materials themselves can undergo a sudden flip of the spins of the electrons. And that is a sudden magnetic field pulse, because the spins have to do with the magnetic spin in the magnetic field. Isn't that interesting? Long before we had what today we're calling spintronics, where we are actually using these spins and beginning to build semiconductors and things that do spin flipping, people like Howard Johnson and people that doing experiments with the exchange forces were doing it a long time ago. Howard Johnson was working in what today is called spintronics 50 years ago, before that word was ever even born. But he was chasing and getting the spins to flip. So let's build a permanent magnet motor first that won't run itself, and then let's make it into one that will run itself. Wouldn't that be interesting? So what we do, we use the rotor and the stator, and I'm going to use in my rotors, I'm going to use north poles on all the poles that are there. And in my stator, around the outside that's fixed, I'm going to use south poles. So let's take one pair of these poles with
15 males, 13.
Last summer, I went on my first big solo sailing trip from Amsterdam to the Channel Islands. I had a lot of new experiences, encountered some rather serious waves. My engine overheated and broke down, and my tiller broke while sailing in about 20 knots of wind. Despite all of this, I also had some good fun. Unfortunately, now, because the summer was coming to its end, it was time to head back towards Amsterdam.
And just like that, I'm off, leaving Guernsey. I'm gonna try to get to Bologna, maybe even Calais. Definitely sailing through the night. It's really a perfect wind window for about 48 hours, even sun. So I really look forward to it. This is gonna be amazing. This is the route I have planned. It's almost 180 miles in total. And what's really critical is that I make it to the Cape in time. Because once the current turns, it's like a 6-knot current against you. So if I miss that, like this entire trip would not work out anymore. And it's about 25 miles to get there. So I really have to make good speed, but I have the current with me the entire way. And as you can see, already doing 6.5 to 7 knots, so should be good, should be there in like 3.5 hours, I hope.
What will be
2100 Buckhorn Road. William George John, 7868.
101. Location?
63, 1060, 1654.
Leopard from the Family Dollar on Tom Lincoln George, 3370.
One thing, show me here.
154. Oh, Southern Frank.
Frank 2137.
In this video, we're headed to Thailand, but not for vacation. We're on a mission to see my new boat, hop on board, and take it out for a sea trial. This will be the first time the boat's been out on the water and the first time raising the sails.
420 traffic.
Delta 340 traffic. Delta 340 location. Brownlee and Craig, Victor Paul Sam 9177. 10-4, Brownlee and Craig.
Probably on call 716410.
Love you, Missouri.
4430. K930 is requesting a VCU unit to his location.
You do what you can.
Delta 320 arriving.
Delta 320.
Delta 374. Can I get a case number?
Yeah, case number is 141-0141.
10-4 location.
Saratoga and Shea Parkway, Paul Victor Lincoln 1856.
4430. I mean K930 still totally advises.
6 you can move K930. Paul Victor Lincoln 1856. 10-4.
Three words all for 153 10
6 Bravo.
Bravo 4.
6 Bravo.
Bravo 4. Williams after me.
Joey at 1455 Waldron on investigation hall.
1455 Waldron 10-4.
4420. Come to a stop. Here is an Emic.
Here's an Emic 10-4.
So. Location? 10-4.
Bravo 30 traffic. Property traffic.
10-4 location.
Victor Paul Tone 1524.
6 Bravo.
5 weekend duty.
10-4, opening Tower.
Charlie.
Different.
This is security my complainant one contact. 2141.
Bravo 14 location.
Medic 1 on scene. Also be advised, man, we're still going to be up for a call this one drop.
Bravo 14. It's going to be Waldron. And officer should like to call you on 03466.
First one's going to be Texas Trailer 988-278 John. Check.
Calling 03466 and 4.
10-4 Medic 1. Trailer 9827.
9350 traffic.
I'll be clear at the route, but
988-278
he doesn't want to make it.
John.
Your location.
Second one's going to be Texas Tom Robert Paul 2210.
Bravo 14. We're informing this is range shorts.
Tom Robert Paul 2210.
Turning towards 10-4. I'm trying to 350 your location.
440 traffic.
5500 South Staples on Mary Robert William 5274.
Go ahead. Mary Robert William 5274. 10-4.
Bravo 4 unclear.
10-4.
4410 clear.
Bravo 410, show me out with Bravo. Excuse me, Bravo 4, show me out Bravo 410. Alright, definitely.
624, 98827, John, contact way, international.
314 location.
Please.
Yeah,
John Griner.
27 French and.
Solid Lake, Texas, 929.
Charlie 335, put me out on 164. Yeah, flex money out of them for 40.
Careful.
322, patrol Flint Hill, Ingle Side, GNH. Victor 40 in play.
I don't know, 45, you show second service.
Three 24, the second 28 on the truck. Is that come back to the same person and clear?
118, 1041, 227.
Go ahead with Tom Patrick.
036, I'm clear.
Walton
for above, Sam Young North,
2015, 4, pickup, light color, 10-4.
Location.
10-4. If you would just log that out here at the West Fishing area, the trailer doesn't have a boat on it, and I believe they're out on the water, but there's nowhere to dock that boat or unload that boat. Just be aware that it's out here, unoccupied.
4420, clear. Delta 330, you got it for the disturbance on Levy. Bravo 4.
No, 10-4.
As we see, sure now with the 30, for the disturbance and privacy executive surf club, 306 on Chaparral. Therefore, from 6 points. Repeat everything, it's a black male with a floral shirt. There's a chat about being cut off from the bar. His birthday aggressive.
1664, Robbie, UTO 10-8.
There's a male laughing, going out to the patio.
10-4. Fox 31 clear Henry, so curbside in Charles. 745 for the drug possession at 655 Castle Park, 655 Castle Park at Castle Lane Apartment.
Now, these guys may hear screaming and fighting next door. Our team lives at 304. As they mentioned, she saw them earlier, female head bruises up and down her leg.
Bravo 425 route.
The red mark on the side of her cheek.
That's 10-4. Proceed to my current to a building. A report of a vehicle northbound, a white or gray pickup with no tail light. It is not reached Indian Point as of yet.
Oh, 425 area.
10-4, I'll be in route.
34, 31, 10-7. 10-4. Version that you go ahead.
10-21, 10-44.
Proceed.
10-4. 33 direct, I'll be connected.
Unit 3, did you have traffic?
4. 36 straight.
Negative. Yes, 345. 4. Can you confirm that it's just the dock and nowhere else?
10-4, in route. Shoot you over. 1524, right?
So, FM 624 in Christina with Frank Paul William, 50. Yeah, can you put me on the call with Bravo 45, please?
I copy Frank Paul William, 50.
Charlie 370, Charlie 290 for the suspicious circumstance. Airline and Simone. RP to cause contact.
360, I'll take that alarm with my beat.
Delta 350, I'll be clear my part.
is 1044.
Careful. Bring it in.
3171. Alright.
Bravo 3M traffic.
Six 652 transit, can I get an individual, please? 652. 44 10 location. 10-4, people in Walford.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hey Daniel, can you check that where the black paddles are and see if my black paddle 73, run 73 is there? I can't find it here. I think I might have left it in the relief vehicle.
Unit 5. Unit 5, duty.
Yeah, family.
Sparks on watch, no radio damage. Unit 6. Terminal, Lawson on duty. 322, patrolling Kiwa. So far.
Charlie 370, 10-4. 327, traffic.
Negative. 304. 28 out of Arizona. Tom, Adam 470. Charlie 390, Saratoga, Staples. 42, clear, continue. Calgary. Four Alpha. 4 Alpha. Yeah, I'll go check it out when I get back. I think I took release date for 4002, I think. Robert goes on duty.
Victor 12, can you contact the base, North Gate, off of Ocean, tell them that they have a yellow Lamborghini that we're trying to conduct it, not provided through the gate?
Communication, 31. Did anybody turn in passport for Miguel Rodriguez?
Alright. Actually, Adam 234.
Yeah, not since 1800, nothing's been turned in to me.
So, Adam is having a VP.
Down to the
824.
Here's your 10 traffic.
Location. Over.
324. New traffic.
Can you give me a call, please?
Victor 50, I'm clear.
316 area, Victor 50 clear.
Adam 415 traffic. 10-4.
Dispatch from Medic 12.
Victor Lincoln Fall, 6547, we're on I-37, we're taking exit 7. Medic 12, go ahead.
Medic 12, code 1 shoreline, starting 0.0. Delta 380, you can give me that animal call, I'll be around in a moment.
Jeff Mark, William Frank 376.
Victor, go ahead.
Communication to Oxford, this should be a negative.
97 is going to be 143, 143. Good.
Victor 11, how many to Victor 10 and Victor 12 call?
Over.
Now for 20 for this.
58. Give me that nuisance 20.
White Captain, Windward, Victor George
White Captain, Windward.
That's 4. That's for sure not with him for the nuisance. Coast Area Runner 2240 and PID, Comet 16103. Now 420 for this Hatcher Leather, it's North Parkwood and Park, North Parkwood and Park.
Yes, LP.
Adam 415, update our location at
23 okay, 10-4.
10-4.
Six 16, Sam, Joe. Sam, Joe.
10-4.
Go ahead.
Are you getting a return on that tornado, right? Or that's on the call?
One 50. ETO 20.
5 Bravo.
Where's Bravo?
I got a return for the vehicle, 207 Chevy Tahoe.
We're teams on duty.
Alright.
Alright, 10-4. Yeah, that's it.
Major 10, stay safe, records in out.
I'll be 23 at the HEB parking lot.
10-4.
10-4. Direction all straight there.
681, I'll be out at 1205.